everybody. I wanted to go ahead and talk about a subject that has been on my mind quite a bit these past couple days. It started with some friends and I were talking about it, and ever since then, it has just been bugging me. So I'm just gonna jump into it. So the big question here that this whole thing is going to be about is singing overrated? Like, is it an overrated skill slash talent, whatever you want to call it? We'll just stick with ability because that covers all of it. But is singing an overrated ability that is like way too popular for its own good and is just so commonplace that it's no longer this beautiful, impressive thing? And I know that my answer to that question is going to come as a major shock to people, especially seeing as I am a singer and, I love to sing and I've been singing my whole life. And I've done a lot of work on my voice throughout my life. But here it goes. Sadly, it is overrated. I know it's a shock that I even said that as a singer, like I said, but it is. I mean, not only am I a singer, but I know a lot of people, other people who can sing as well. And not all of them think they can sing well, but I mean, they can. They actually really can. Some of them are even better than me. And there is one person that I know who is better than me, and she doesn't even like being a singer. She doesn't even like that she can sing at all. And she was telling me the other day how overrated she felt like singing was. Like, everybody wants to be a singer. Everybody. Like, nonstop. There's all these singing classes all over the place. There's all these singing talent shows. You don't see that with, like, instrumental music or anything like that. You don't see it that much with rappers. You don't see it with most other things, really. And the crazy thing is, I agree with her on that. I really do. And one of the things that we talked about the other day was that, well, for one, we found out that far more people can sing than can't, even if they're not like professional or anything like that. But like, more people can sing in tune than who can't. I mean, what was it? I read somewhere that was like 98% of people can sing at least somewhat in tune. So, I mean, that's a thing that came up for me, and I'm just like, all these people, there's so many people who want to be like singers and they want to get better at singing and they want to do it professionally and blah 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 blah. But there's so many singers already, and you still hear people always say, "Oh, I want to be a better singer. I want to be a better singer," and a lot of them think that they're terrible when in fact they're not. But the thing is, it's like everybody wants to everybody wants to sing. Everybody wants to get better at it. Everybody wants to take lessons and stuff to be better at it, even if they're not going for a professional career. And when I actually like look at that, it's almost overwhelming how many singers are actually out there and either have professional singing careers or try to get one. And as somebody who was like constantly exposed to like these big singers that can hit all the notes and have these big ranges and can do all the licks and trills they want, like, I've talked about in other videos. And, even, hearing that in myself, even practicing it and imitating it all my life. Thinking about it now, those great singers, those really big vocalists that would blow the roof off the place, they're actually really not impressive anymore. Why? Because there's so many of them. And everybody wants to sound like that. And more people do sound like that than don't. And, I've talked about vocal gymnasts and, quote unquote vocal athletes. I talked about that before on here. And there are far more of those people than people who aren't like that. When I hear those beautiful singers nowadays that I grew up imitating, that I've been exposed to all my life, I can no longer go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they can sing like that. That is so amazing." I honestly can't do that. I can't anymore. Like, I'm not impressed by it anymore. Even if they did a way better job at it than I did. Like, I'm not impressed by it at all. If anything, I'm just like, just another singer that can do all that. Because so many people can do it. And it's getting to where all the great singers, no matter... How should I put this? I find it so much harder than ever for singers to really stand out. Because everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's imitating each other. And even when they're doing their own thing, they still sound like another singer. And is it really them doing their own thing? Or is it just that we're all doing the same thing? And just with our own voices, but it's just the same stuff all the time. I think, shockingly, I have no intention of, going for a singing career. I thought about it, but I'm not going to do it. And I don't even want to be like a voice teacher. I don't even want to do that. Because there's too many of those out there too. And in both fields, like, I feel like it's harder to stand out as a singer than it is to stand out as an instrumentalist. I mean, think about it. We have all these instruments in the world that we can pick from, and they all sound like their own little thing, and you can pretty much play whatever you want with them. Like, there's no limits. But we all have just one voice for every person. And our voices can't do a lot of the things that, other instruments can't. They really can't, The voice is never even meant to be a perfect instrument. It really wasn't, Yet at the same time, vocalists are overpowering instrumentalists in a lot of areas. You know what I mean? And I honestly feel like no matter how much work I put into, finding my own voice and my own sound, it's still not going to sound 100% original. I mean, it never will. Why? Because so many people can sing like that. You know what I mean? Like, everything that I can do, I can think of so many other singers that can do the exact same things I learned how to do in my life. Sure, I got my own tone, but that's about it. As far as like stylistic things, there's no way I'm going to be able to stand out in a crowd of millions of other singers, because there really are millions of other singers. Sure, not all of them are, pitch perfect and all, but it doesn't matter. There's so many of them out there, and, we praise them over any other musician out there. And it's, with like the really, really well-trained singers, even when somebody does say, oh, that person has their own voice, nobody else sounds like them, and I'm just like, yeah, they do. They do sound like somebody else. Because here's the deal. We all sound the same, whether we like it or not. All of us great singers, even if we sing in different genres, we pretty much can all do the same stuff. Make the same noises. Because that's what we're limited to. Even if we don't all have the same like ranges and stuff, we can do all the fluffy frilly stuff. We can all sing somewhat on pitch. And I know we go out of our way to make singers out to be like their own singers, and having their own unique styles, but really I just can't see it anymore. And I don't know if it's because I'm a singer and I've just been that numb to it after all my training or what, but I can't pick one singer apart from another as far as like, uniqueness anymore. Because like, we're all learning to do the same thing, other than our genres that we're singing in, we're pretty much the same. Every opera singer sounds the same. Just about every pop star sounds the same. You know what I mean? Instrumental musicians can get away with a lot more and sound like their own artists. The singers are left with a small set of tools that pretty much run every singing voice ever that has ever been trained for a career or just for leisure or whatever. Even vocal coaching, like, I I know every teacher kind of has a different way of like teaching singing and stuff, and I've watched a lot of singing tutorials on YouTube, and and I've seen a couple of singing courses as well. And a lot of times, what you will hear is, "Oh, here's the secret to being a better singer than anybody else," or "I have a secret to your range," or "a secret to doing this or that or the other." But you know what? There's no secret. It's just a buzzword to get singers into it. There is no secret. They're all teaching the same thing, just in different ways. But really, when you get down to it, when you really get down to it, after watching a whole bunch of singing tutorials like I have, they're all saying the same thing, just in different ways. Some of them are more correct than others on how they teach it, but they're all teaching the same thing, When you really get to, like, the gritty of it all, you know what I mean? There's nothing, like, even the most, like, revolutionary or unique voice coaching techniques and systems really are no secret. So even they can't stand out. You know what I mean? Everybody that can sing really well, they have the same techniques in their hands, whether they realize it or not. It's all the same thing from one singer to another. Even though we try to make it sound like this unique thing that no other teacher is showing newcomer singers and stuff. And you know what? That's not true. It all comes down to the same thing. And one thing that vocal coaches will tell you over and over again is that pretty much anybody can be a great singer if they practice. Pretty much anyone. So is it really that much of a... Is it really that much of an impressive talent anymore? I don't think it ever was. I think if anything, that just proves how commonplace it is, how unimpressive it is. Because if anyone can do it, then doesn't that make it a little less interesting? Unfortunately for me, it does. And sadly, for most people who want to be good singers, who want to be great singers, better singers than they originally are, it's not an original goal of theirs most of the time. They have that goal because they were exposed to other people that could do it. They have that goal because maybe they were pressured into it, or they have that goal because they saw the goodness knows how many talent shows are out there, which are just getting annoying. And I'll get to that here in a minute. Well, most people that want to be better singers, can you really say that they 100% decided that on their own without any outside influence? I don't think so. And I'm not just talking about inspiration. I'm talking about desperation to sound like this person or that person. Everybody wants to be the next Adele or Whitney or somebody else. Even if those singers, and sadly most of the great singers, they're not healthy singers. They're really not. Most singers aren't. Honestly, I cannot name one person who whose singing technique is 100% healthy. Not even vocal coaches. And I don't really believe there's any such thing as a perfectly healthy singing voice, because it is that much of a physical activity for these two little tiny vocal cords, you know? And it is stressful on them. Even if you're a seasoned professional, you're still stressing your voice out, with all of these performances or practices. And no matter how good your technique is, there's always going to be a price for being a great singer. There always is. And I really hate saying that, but it's true. I've seen it with so many of my favorite big superstars, and even, friends of mine who are also singers, and even me. I mean, I've put my voice through a lot of damage in my life, and, I've only been on this earth for 21 years. You know what I'm saying? And I've already done some things to my voice that I may never be able to take back. It may not sound like it, but I know I still got issues. We all do. Nobody, nobody can be a perfect singer and be like 100% healthy. I just don't think that's even possible. Because it's such a risky and, tiresome thing that, you're doing with your voice. It's so much harder than just simply speaking. You know, it's a whole different animal all by itself, you know? And everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to do it. But not a lot of people are considering the health risks. And a lot of the professionals themselves are like getting hit out of the blue with, vocal injuries and stuff. And, having to go for vocal surgery. And a lot of these guys, they see coaches regularly and you know, they still can't avoid injuries at times, you know? I want to think somebody said Adele had a vocal coach. Now, that's not to say that all vocal coaches are right. Like I said, not all of them teach this. Not all of them teach correctly, even though they all pretty much teach the same thing. But they can teach it incorrectly. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, she was with the right vocal coach or not, because I don't know. I don't know who she was training under. But, she sounds amazing. And apparently she's coming back to singing. But goodness only knows if she's going to have a third injury. I don't know. But, she's got 2 strikes. And if she hits a third, unfortunately, I may not be surprised. Given, how much she's belting at the top of her lungs, and she does a little too much embellishing, Sad to say, because I am a fan of hers. And I know everybody says, well, it wouldn't hurt if the singer just took care of themselves and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but what does that mean? You know what I mean? You can take really good care of yourself and still hurt your voice. You know what I mean? Without even thinking about it. A lot of times when singers hurt their voices, they don't realize they're doing it. Even if they do have a vocal coach to help them out. You know what I mean? So that's another thing about singing is that it's pretty risky. You know, it's not like instrumental music. I mean, obviously, if you strum a guitar too hard or play the piano too hard, you can, potentially sprain your fingers, but at least you can see what you're doing to them so they'll stop, And if your fingers hurt, you're going to stop immediately and do something about it. You know what I mean? And I can't tell you even one person who has, broken their fingers strumming a guitar too hard or whatever. That just doesn't happen. But I hear all the time about, people's vocal cords bleeding out and hemorrhaging and all this stuff. You know? And that brings me to another thing. I mean, like with any other instrument, guitar, piano, whatever else, if that instrument breaks, you can always repair it or replace it even. And there's no short of replacements for any instrument. But you only have one set of vocal cords for life. And if you break those things, yes, you can go to the hospital and get surgery and all that, but you're never going to be able to replace your vocal cords ever. You can repair them to a degree, but there's no guarantee that you're never going to break them again. I mean, they're just tiny, delicate little muscles and little tissue bands. I mean, they're extremely delicate, and I've definitely had some experience with hurting my own voice, And even after all the corrections that I've made, while I am definitely not hurting myself as much as I used to, there's no guarantee that I'm never gonna hurt my voice again. There's definitely no way. No way at all. And like I said, you can't replace your larynx. That is, you only get one set of vocal cords for life. Just like you only have one set of ears for life. If you damage your ears, I mean, there's only so much you can do depending on how much you've damaged them over the years from way too loud of noises or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's why, we're musicians are always, going out on stage with in-ear monitors and things of that nature. Which I've never tried any of those myself because I've never, performed like that. But there's only so much we can do to protect our voices, Even if we take care of them so well, there's no guarantee that we're not going to accidentally do something or that our technique is ever going to be 100% perfect. Because singing is that much more physical than speaking, And that's something that I didn't always think about growing up. I just sang for the thrill of it and, didn't take any of that into consideration. I just wanted to make a joyful noise, but boy, did it come with a price. And other than singing, I do play instruments. I'm a piano player. And, I know that if something happened to my piano, if one of the keys broke on it, or if something happened to one of the strings, or something else happened, or if something else broke on it, I could always take it into a shop and get it fixed. and it would be as good as new, and I can play it again and, play it as long as I want. Or I can replace it with a totally new one if the damage is beyond repair. You can't do that with your voice. It just can't happen. I'm going to go ahead and take a step back and talk about the talent shows and, how, like, singing is a pretty unimpressive, like, commonplace ability that everybody is going after. And this, if nothing else, proves how overrated singing is compared to, like, other musical abilities. This probably will prove it for you. I mean, think about it. We have X Factor, American Idol, The Voice, and I don't even know what else. But then we also have, like, all the other talent shows that have singing acts in them, like America's Got Talent. And you don't see that with any other musical ability. With any instrumental musical ability. I've only seen, like, one rap competition on TV in my entire life. I've only ever seen one. And I definitely haven't, other than, like, AGT, I haven't really seen any other, musical shows that had, like, that showed off, instrumental musicians. And there's nothing that exclusively focuses on them. Ever. It's not enough that we have all these singing talent shows, but we have a lot of singing acts in other talent shows in general. And it's just like, you could easily say that singers pretty much take over the place. It's not enough that we have The Voice and, The Masked Singer and American Idol and X Factor and all these other shows. But then we also have, like, all these singing acts on other shows too. And it's just like, that doesn't happen with any other singing ability. It really doesn't. Or singing ability. Musical ability, sorry. That doesn't happen with any other musical ability. It doesn't happen with rap. It doesn't happen with instrumental stuff. And every singer I have ever seen make it on those talent shows was always somebody that was kind of a show off. Every single one of them, even the not so perfect ones, everybody I've ever heard on one of those talent shows that made it very far were just a little bit of a vocal gymnast. And like I said, they all sound the same. Like, if you asked me to pick, like, to vote for a singer on The Voice, I would have looked at you like, how the heck would I know? They all sound the same pretty much. They probably have their own areas where they're better than others, but they're all doing the same thing. It's all about who can riff and run and sing the best vibrato and who can... It really is just about who's the best over singer. Because, unfortunately, the norm is over singing. By both definitions, both the heavy belting and the over embellishing. So, in just about every sense of the word, over singing, that is the norm, especially on these shows. And that is what gets all the gold buzzers and the chair turns. And it just really, bugs the heck out of me. And, I mean, it's pretty much just who can sing at you the best. Not to you, but at you. And there's really nothing all that impressive about it. If anything is impressive, it would have to do with somebody who wasn't a vocal gymnast that made it to the final round. Which, mind you, I've never ever seen that happen. But yeah, these talent shows are a really good example of how like overrated singing really is. You know, even for me to be saying, I'm just like, what about everybody else? What about the instrumentalists? What about the rappers? Oh, and this is another one. And I love hip hop. I do. I've listened to both the old stuff and the new stuff. It's great. I love it. But here's something I've been noticing a lot more of lately. More and more rappers are also singing a lot more. There's a lot more rappers out there nowadays that are also great singers. You know, even if not everybody agrees on that, but objectively, they are. They know how to sing. And a lot of the rappers I hear nowadays aren't really rapping. They're more, especially when you look at the so-called mumble rap. Really what I am hearing more now than ever is they are singing with a rapper flow, pretty much. They're rapping on pitch. They're sing rapping. I have noticed that more and more and more and more. And like even rappers I love, I mean, they're a lot better singers than a lot of people make them out to be. There's a fair few of them like that now. Like, to me, it just feels like they're just trying to be unoriginal. And I hate to say that, but it's true. It's just like, just another way that people are wanting to be unoriginal and want to be like everybody else. You know? And there's also been a lot of rappers people that used to be rappers but crossed into other genres. I think I heard something about, Nelly going from rap to country and something else and something else. There's a couple other rappers that kind of, Kesha. She's not a rapper at all anymore. She's a freaking country-ish pop singer. And she's a full-time singer now. No more rapping on that girl. And it's sad because I liked her raps. I didn't like the guy that was her manager at the time when she was a rapper. He was a jerk. But her music back then, her raps were fantastic. They were great. They were real catchy. And nowadays, like, her music just sucks. I'm sorry if you guys are fans of hers. And I used to be a fan of hers. Well, boy, ever since lately, I just haven't been impressed with her. You know, to me, she just sounds like any other singer. There's like any other singer, and I know a lot of people don't think she can really sing like that, but she can. I know it because I got the ear to be able to hear that, And, she's, she's cross genres, And there's a bunch of other rappers that just, sing more than they rap nowadays. And it kind of sucks. It really does because to me it just feels like they're trying to be like everybody else. They and if they're really good at it, they sound pretty much like everybody else, like any other normal singer. Looking back at all this, this is one topic, you know, about my feelings about singing being an overrated ability that everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to sound like each other, and everybody pretty much does sound like each other. Is so bothersome. I almost never question my love for singing. But when I start thinking about this, and it's happened to me before, not just right now, but I think it's hitting me harder now than it ever did. Because I'm, you know, constantly learning more and more about myself and what I like and don't like about singing. And this is one of those few times where I actually question my interest in singing. I really do question how big I'm really into it. This is a rare topic that really tests me as a singer and really makes me rethink everything and go, is this really what I'm doing with my life? Is this really what I want to do with my life? And I got friends that are also really good singers who aren't even thinking about seeking a singing career. They're just like, there's enough singers out there. There's other things I could be doing. And as much as I love to sing, I've honestly kind of felt the same way. And it's really sad, but I mean, this is something that I had to face, in my singing ability because like in my, you know, being a singer and all that, like this is something I get to think about because it really does bug the heck out of me, and I do like to sing, but I think it's when I start thinking about this that I realize that maybe I don't love it quite as much as I normally feel like I do. And I'm gonna leave it on this. Because I know by now you're probably thinking, well, I'm wanting to be a singer. Should I just not do it? The last thing I want is to discourage anybody from doing what they want to do. But if you are going for a singing career, I really want you to make sure that that's what you really, really want to do, and there's nothing else that's really grabbing at you. you need to make sure that you take, your vocal health and all that seriously. But don't expect to stand out very much, because we all pretty much sound the same. And the better we get, the harder it is for us to tell apart. It really is. And between that and like the stress of trying to keep up with the demanding music industry and all that, I mean, other than cheering fans and stuff, you're really not missing a whole lot. If you're not sure that that's really what you want to do, I totally understand, because I've had to ask myself the same questions. And for me, honestly, even if I don't take a career in singing, I'm really not missing a whole lot, because it really isn't that big of a deal for me. I can always, sing for fun and, share my voice with people. And, I don't need to be on a stage to, perform. And I don't need a record deal from a label that is just going to push me to my breaking point day after day after day, only for me to be like massively risking my voice, and not only my vocal health but like my mental health as well. So really, as much as I love to sing, I don't love it enough to put myself through all that. And honestly, even if I'm not in it, there are so many singers out there already that it really isn't going to matter that much. I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to be able to, like, no matter what I do. And I don't think any of us can really and truly stand out and be 100% original in the sea of a whole bunch of other singers that sound sort of like you. I'm just, if I did go for a singing career, in spite of my best efforts, I'd probably just be one of a million. Not one in a million singers, but one of a million singers. Or however many, I'm just going to be one of many, and really, it's just going to be one more person that is showing off for cameras, and so that the record label can get paid and all that. I'm just gonna be another like show off model that everybody else is gonna want to copy, and that's not what I'm into it for. I'm not in it for impression. I'm in it for expression. But the problem is, singers aren't expressing much more than they're impressing these days. Like just in general, like, singing has become more of an impressive thing than an expressive thing. No matter what anybody says, that is a sad trend that I have seen over and over and over and over, even in my most favorite music I've ever listened to. Like, it really is all about competition and, like, showing off and making everybody else want to be just like you. And it's leaving, you know, other musicians kind of in the dust in a lot of ways that can do so much more than, you know, what our voices can when we're singing, and aren't hurting themselves nearly as much as we are. You know, we're basically killing our voices for other people's entertainment. That's really all it is entertainment. It's really not a big connection thing at all. It's just about views. And that's sad to me. So yeah. Pretty much I I do believe that singing is a very highly overrated ability, and that it's lost its appeal a long time ago, because it's not some impressive skill that a select few can do. It's not like that at all. Not even for me. I know that's a shocker to hear, and I know this definitely wasn't the most lighthearted video I've ever done, but I just really, really needed to talk about this because it's been bothering me so much this week. You know, ever since my friends and I talked about it, like, it's just been, like, really eating away at me. Especially this morning. But anyways, thanks for letting me share that with you, and definitely let me know what your perspective is on that, and, you know, if anything I said really stood out to you and all that. And hopefully the next video will be a little more fun. I don't know. We'll see. I got a lot of different topics written down that I want to talk about. Sorry, my mic keeps messing up. I do have a whole bunch of, like, things that I've been writing down that I wanted to talk about, and hopefully I'll be getting to those very soon. And also, by the end of this month, will have been a full year since I have had this channel, since I started this channel, which is pretty exciting. And I'm so happy to see that I'm slowly getting more subscribers as I go. We're up to, I believe, 10 now, which really isn't bad for the first year. I don't know, like, I didn't really have a set, like, number of, like, how many people I thought I was gonna get in a year, but still, like, I'll take what I can get, you know, because I really do love making these videos and talking to you about music and things like that. Sometimes showing off my voice a little bit, especially with the covers, which I'm not doing those right now because I'm focusing on the vlogs. But my covers that I've done so far are still on here if you want to see those again. And also my experimental ASMR, which I don't know if I'll be doing another one of those, but who knows, maybe I will. Maybe I'll do some experiments on here. I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to figure all that out, so if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications so you can stay up to date with my new content. I'll see you later, guys.